In the heart of Umuofia, a peaceful village tucked between hills and rivers, lived a man called Dogo. Everybody liked him. He was tall, dark, well-shaped, and had a smile that could make even the grumpiest market woman laugh. His house was neat, his clothes always clean, and he used a sweet-smelling soap made from lemon and palm oil. But there was one big problem. His boxers smelled terribly. No matter how many times he washed them, no matter how long he dried them under the hot sun, the smell refused to go away. It wasn't an ordinary smell. It was the kind of smell that made your eyes water and your stomach twist. The villagers started calling him names like, Uncle Bombum Smell, Marzi Few Few, Lord of the Stinky Pants. Every time Dogo walked to the stream to wash clothes, people around him would shift quietly. Even goats and chickens ran when he approached with his bag of underwear. Still, Dogo pretended nothing was wrong. He would wave at people, smile, and even greet children, saying, "Good afternoon, my future senators." But once he turned his back, they would cover their noses and whisper, "God Abeg. He has washed it again, oh." One hot Thursday afternoon, something happened that shook the whole village. Maman Kechi, who sold akara and pap beside Dogo's compound, was frying by the roadside when she suddenly screamed, "Chinik me! Who brought dead crayfish here?" People came running. "What is it, Maman Kechi?" asked Papa Ozo, the village drunk. She pointed with a shaking finger toward Dogo's washing line. There it was, his favorite red and white striped boxers, hanging like a flag of doom. Flies buzzed all around it. Even the dog lying under the tree got up and left. "I can't take it anymore," Maman Kechi cried. "That boxer is a public nuisance." The villagers started murmuring. One woman said, "How can a man be clean from head to toe but his boxers smell like war?" Another man whispered, "Maybe it's spiritual." Dogo, who was pounding yam inside, came out. He smiled as if nothing happened. "Good afternoon, neighbors. Enjoying the sun, ABI?" Nobody answered. They all just looked at him, and slowly walked away. That evening, Dogo sat alone in his room, staring at the offensive boxers now folded neatly on his chair. He had tried everything. He used soap, bleach, lemon, even holy water. He once soaked them overnight in a bucket of Coca-Cola and bitter leaf juice. Still, nothing changed. Each time he wore them, he felt a strange chill run through his body. And when he took them off, the smell spread like gossip in a women's meeting. But there was something he had never told anyone. A secret. A long time ago, 10 years back, he met a woman by the river. He wasn't supposed to talk to her. She wasn't an ordinary woman. She was beautiful, yes, but she had something strange in her eyes, something not human. And on that day, after they spoke, she gave him something. That was the day his boxers started to smell. The next morning, as if things weren't already bad enough, Amah came to visit. Amah was the village's finest girl. She ran a small hair salon and had the brightest smile in Umuofia. Everyone knew she had a soft spot for Dogo, though she always denied it. That day, she came to return his plastic water bucket, which she borrowed during the last dry season. As she stepped into his compound, she smiled and said, "Dogo, I hope you've not boiled your boxers in ogiri soup again, oh." He laughed, a bit nervous. Just then, a breeze blew. Amah stopped. She sniffed. Her face changed. She turned slowly, eyes wide, and stared at the drying line. Her voice trembled. "Please tell me that's not what I think it is." Dogo tried to joke. It's just ordinary boxers, N.A." Amah shouted, "Ordinary? This thing smells like dead fish that got run over by a lorry." Before he could speak again, she dropped the bucket and ran, one hand holding her nose, the other waving in the air like someone escaping a burning house. Children who saw her began to laugh. Some ran after her, chanting, "Auntie Amah don smell Dogo's secret. Auntie Amah don smell Dogo's secret." From that day, even Amah started avoiding him. Dogo's shame was now complete. Even Papa Jato, his best friend and oldest companion, sat him down and said, "Dogo, my guy, you know I love you like brother, but this your pants matter don pass be careful. You need spiritual help. Dogo looked down. I know, he said quietly. Papa Jato stood up. Let's go and see Mama Ejiro, the seer. She'll know what to do. But Dogo shook his head. No, he whispered. I can't face her. She might already know. Papa Jato narrowed his eyes. Know what? Dogo said nothing. He just stood up, walked into his room, and locked the door. Outside, the villagers whispered. He's cursed. He offended a spirit. Maybe he stole someone's underwear during youth service. That night, as the moonlight lit up his tiny room, Dogo stared at the boxes again. They looked so innocent. Folded neatly. But the smell. He picked them up and held them close. Then he whispered, if only they knew. If only they knew why these boxes won't stop smelling. Amaka did not return to Mazi Dogo's compound for 2 whole weeks. It was not because she didn't like him anymore. In fact, deep inside her heart, she still thought Dogo was a fine man. Tall, humble, and respectful. But the smell of that boxer haunted her dreams. One night, she even dreamt the boxers grew legs and chased her through the market, screaming, "Why are you running? Why are you running?" She woke up sweating, grabbed her anointing oil, and rubbed it all over her forehead. This is serious, she said to herself. Something is not right. That morning, as she sat outside her salon weaving a customer's hair, her best friend Ngozi came by with a story. Amaka, you won't believe what I heard in the stream today. Ngozi said. What? Amaka asked, plaiting gently. Ngozi lowered her voice. They say Mazi Dogo has spiritual underwear. The customer gasped. Higher. Amaka blinked. Spiritual coup? Which kind? Ngozi nodded fast. Mama Ejiro the seer told somebody that the boxers are connected to a river goddess. Everyone went silent. Then Amaka whispered, but, that day at his house, when the wind blew, it was like something held me in place. My legs were shaking. Ngozi leaned close. You need to ask him. Dogo likes you. He might tell you what happened. Amaka looked around, made sure no one else was listening, and whispered, I'll try. That evening, Amaka took her bold step. She walked to Dogo's house just before sunset, her heart beating like a talking drum. She found him sitting under the mango tree in front of his room, reading an old book and sipping Gary from a cup. He looked up, surprised. Amaka, you came. She nodded and smiled softly. I want to talk. He looked down, almost ashamed. I understand if you hate me now. Amaka shook her head. No. I don't hate you. I just need the truth. Dogo sighed deeply. Come, let me show you something. He led her into his room. It was small but neat. On the wooden table was a folded wrapper, a Bible, and a plastic comb. And there, again, sitting neatly on the chair, were the red and white boxers. Amaka stood by the door, covering her nose with her scarf, but her curiosity was stronger than her fear. Dogo picked up the boxers slowly, almost like he was handling a sacred object. They smell, I know. But you don't understand, it's not natural. Let me tell you what happened. Amaka sat down, eyes wide. 10 years ago. Dogo was a different person then. Younger, full of pride, and always chasing girls. One day, while fishing by the riverbank, he met the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her skin glowed like moonlight. Her voice was soft like a lullaby. She asked for help carrying water. He followed her deep into the forest, where she lived in a small hut near a hidden spring. Everything felt magical. He couldn't explain it. They sat, talked, and before he knew it, one thing led to another. The woman smiled after, looked into his eyes, and said, You will wear these, and you will never forget me. She handed him a red and white boxer. He laughed, thinking it was a joke. But when he wore it the next day, he started to feel strange. Birds flew away when he passed. Dogs barked for no reason. And soon, the smell began. He tried to throw it away, but the boxer always returned to him. No matter where he hid it. No matter how far. Amah's mouth hung open. You mean, she was a spirit? Dogo nodded. A river goddess. I later found out from Mama Ejiro. But why didn't you tell anyone? He looked at her with pain in his eyes. Would you believe me if I said a woman cursed me with smelly underwear? She was silent for a moment, then burst out laughing. Dogo blinked. What? Amah held her stomach, wiping tears. Sorry, oh. It's not funny, but it sounds like one of those tales by Amah. Dogo chuckled too, the first time he had laughed in a while. But I'm tired, Amah. I don't want to live like this. I want to burn them, but something always stops me. Later that night, Amah walked back home, deep in thought. She remembered her grandmother once told her, a gift from a river goddess is not easily returned. You must do something equal to the bond created. She didn't know what that meant then. But now she did. And she had an idea. The next morning, she went to see Mama Ejiro, the old seer who lived at the edge of the forest. The old woman welcomed her with a knowing smile. Ah, Amah, you've come about the boxer boy, Abi. Amah gasped. How did you know? Mama Ejiro waved her hand. I know many things. She led her inside and gave her a seat by the window. Then she brought out an old calabash. She poured water inside and stirred it with a leaf. A face appeared in the water. It was the river woman. She gave him a gift in passion, Mama Ejiro said, and when he forgot her, her anger remained in the cloth. Amah shivered. So how do we break it? Mama Ejiro smiled. The one who loves him without fear must return the gift to the river with her own hand. Amah blinked. Me? Yes. You must go with him. You must face the river. Amah left the seer's hut trembling, but determined. She went straight to Dogo's house and told him everything. He was scared. What if she drags me under the water? Amah held his hand. I'll go with you. Let's do this together. That night, as the moon rose high, the two of them dressed in white wrappers and carried a small calabash. Inside it were the smelly boxers, wrapped in white cloth, tied with palm leaves. They walked quietly to the river, where Dogo first met the woman 10 years ago. The place still looked the same. The air was cold. The water was calm. Dogo's hands shook. Amah took the calabash, stepped forward, and spoke. River Mother, your lover returns your gift. He remembers you. But he wishes to be free. She gently placed the calabash in the water. It floated, then began to sink slowly. The moment it disappeared, a strong wind blew. The water sparkled. And a gentle voice echoed through the trees. It is done. Suddenly, the smell vanished. Dogo could feel it. Something lifted off him. His chest felt light. Amah smiled. It's gone. He looked at her, eyes full of tears. You saved me. She laughed. Well, I also saved my nose. They both burst into laughter. From that night, Dogo never smelled again. The next morning, Mazi Dogo woke up before the cocks even started crowing. He felt different. Lighter. Brighter. His room didn't have that usual strange thickness in the air, and for the first time in 10 years, he could breathe normally. He looked around. No flies hovering. No lizards scrambling away. No plantain rotting by itself on the table. He smiled. Then he laughed. Then he danced in his singlet and shorts. Freedom at last, he shouted, spinning in circles. From her own compound, Maman Kechi heard his voice and shook her head. This Dogo must be mad, she muttered. But Dogo didn't care. Today, he had plans. Big plans. It was time to return to the village square. Dogo had been avoiding crowds for so long. Weddings, meetings, funerals. He would stay far away to spare people from the dreaded odor of the boxer curse. But today, that would change. He took a fresh bath, scrubbed every part of his body with sponge and black soap, and wore his finest clothes. clean white kaftan, sandals shining with Vaseline, and for style, his red cap tilted just slightly. He even sprayed a little perfume. Then, he took the old boxers, the ones that had cursed him for years, and folded them neatly inside a plastic bag. He carried it under his arm. Today, we close the chapter. By noon, the village square was full. Children played around the mango tree. The elders sat in their usual circle, discussing who stole whose goat. And of course, Mama Nkechi was selling Puff Puff and Zobo, gossiping with Papa Ozo, who never bought anything but always came to help her arrange change. As Dogo approached, people began to notice. Is that not Mazi Dogo? Yes, N.A. He came out in the afternoon. Oh. Ian? What's smelling? Everyone went silent. But then, nothing. No foul odor. No gasping. No running noses. Just fresh air. Clean. Crisp. Normal. Mama Nkechi squinted her eyes. Something is fishy. She walked up to Dogo and folded her arms. Where is the thing? She asked. Dogo smiled and brought out the plastic bag. It's here. But it no longer smells. People gathered around. Even Papa Ozo stood up from his gossip seat. Amah arrived too, standing quietly at the back, watching. Prove it, someone shouted. Yes. Prove it, another added. Dogo raised the plastic bag, untied it slowly, and brought out the legendary red and white boxer. He held it up with 2 fingers and waved it around dramatically. Come and smell it, he said with pride. Nobody moved. Then suddenly, Mama Nkechi took a bold step forward. Give me that nonsense, she snapped. She grabbed the boxer from his hand, raised it close to her nose, and paused. She sniffed. Nothing. She sniffed again. Still nothing. Then she shouted, "Hey! It's true, oh!" People clapped. Some even cheered. Papa Ozo took the boxer and gave it a cautious sniff. No scent. Just small Omo soap. They passed it around like a trophy, each person confirming the miracle. But Dogo wasn't done. He cleared his throat. My people, he began, there is something I must say. The crowd hushed. Many of you laughed at me. Some called me names. Some even said I killed flies with my smell. But the truth is, I was cursed by a river goddess because of my foolishness. Gasps. Yes. I made a mistake 10 years ago. But someone brave, someone kind, someone special helped me break free. He turned to Amah. Everyone looked. Amah blushed. She stood by me when nobody else would. And today, I want the whole village to know. Dogo walked over to her. Amah, will you be my wife? The crowd went wild. Children jumped. Women screamed. Even Papa Ozo dropped his puff puff in shock. Amah covered her face. Is this proposal real or a skit? Dogo went on one knee and held her hand. No skit. No prank. Just love. Amah smiled wide and nodded. Yes. The crowd erupted in joy. Mama Nkechi hugged Amah like they were long-lost sisters. Later that evening, Dogo and Amah walked to Mama Ejiro's shrine with the boxer folded once more. They told her about the village square, the proposal, and how the boxer had become a village legend. Mama Ejiro laughed, her old eyes twinkling. It is good. But we must still bury the boxer properly, so it never returns. She led them to the backyard where they dug a small hole. They placed the boxer inside, sprinkled salt and camphor, and poured palm oil over it. Mama Ejiro spoke some final words. Let what was cursed stay buried. Let new joy begin. They covered the hole, placed a flat stone over it, and walked away, never to speak of it again. Back in the village, the story spread like wildfire. Mazi Dogo's name changed from Smelly Dogo to Dogo the Delivered. People stopped holding their noses around him. And Amah's salon became the most visited in the village, because everyone wanted to hear how she survived the boxer and found love. She simply smiled and said, "Smells are temporary. But true love lasts forever." 1 month later. The whole village of Umuakachi had never seen anything like it. Palm fronds lined the dusty paths. Colorful wrappers danced in the wind. Goats were tied away properly for once. Even Papa Ozo had bathed twice that week, just to look fresh for the occasion. It was Mazi Dogo and Amaka's traditional wedding day. And not even the spirits could stop it. Mama Nkechi, however, wasn't smiling. She sat in her veranda, arms folded, lips tight like a wrapped moi moi leaf. How can she marry him? She hissed to herself. After everything. That boxer was cursed. What if it returns? What if he smells again tomorrow? Her bitterness boiled like ogbono left too long on the fire. Amaka was glowing like morning sun. She wore a beautiful wine-red lace wrapper with gold embroidery, and her head tie sat like a crown. Her friends danced behind her, singing and spraying powder as if she was a queen from Nollywood. Dogo was waiting at the village square, dressed in a brown agbada that looked freshly ironed, even though he had borrowed it from his cousin in the next village. The drummers beat louder. The dancers moved faster. The people shouted, "Give us love, oh!" When Amaka arrived, the whole square went quiet for a moment, just to admire her beauty. Then, "Nawao!" shouted one old man. "This marriage is not ordinary." Everyone laughed. Even Dogo, nervous as ever, smiled wide like he had won the lottery of life. As the ceremony was about to begin, a scream rang out from the edge of the square. All heads turned. It was Mama Nkechi, running barefoot with a bowl of dirty water and charcoal powder. "Stop the wedding," she shouted. "He is still cursed. The boxer's smell will return. Let me cleanse him before it's too late." Everyone gasped. The drummers paused. The elders stood. Dogo stepped back. But Amaka stood tall. "Mama Nkechi," she said calmly, "you have carried bitterness on your head like a basin. This man has changed. The curse is broken. Love won." The elders nodded. Mama Nkechi stood there, her hands trembling, the water bowl shaking. Then something strange happened. A strong gust of wind blew across the square, fierce, hot, and sudden. It spun the bowl from Mama Nkechi's hands. It lifted the charcoal powder into her face. It threw her wrapper over her head. And just like that, she fell flat into the sand. People rushed to help her up. But an old woman whispered, "That's the river spirit's warning. Leave love alone." Mama Nkechi didn't speak again that day. Under the sacred Iroko tree, Dogo and Amaka exchanged their simple vows. "I promise never to hide who I am again," Dogo said. "Even if I smell one day, I'll still come out." "I promise to walk with you," Amaka replied, "through smells, spells, and swell." Everyone laughed. The priest raised their hands. "From this day, you are husband and wife." People clapped. Drums rolled. Songs erupted. Someone shouted, "Boxer, we bring love, oh!" That night, after the dancing had ended and the guests had gone, Amaka and Dogo sat by the fire in front of their new home. They didn't say much. They just smiled at each other. Suddenly, the flames flickered strangely. Out of the shadows stepped a figure. Mama Ejiro. But behind her stood something else. A tall woman, dark like the night, her body covered in water leaves and shells, her eyes glowing like river light. It was her. The river goddess. Amaka stood. Dogo knelt. The goddess raised her hand. "Your love is strong. You have passed the test. He who was cursed by carelessness has been redeemed by humility. And she who loved without fear has been honored." Then, she handed Amaka a small white wrapper. "This," she said, "is a gift. If ever darkness rises again, wear this, and light will return." And just like that, she vanished into the night wind. The next day, Papa Ozo began telling the tale to anyone who would listen. "You see, he said while munching roasted corn, "Dogo's boxers smelled not because he was dirty, but because he once insulted a sacred river. It was not his clothes that stank, but his past choices. But when he admitted his mistake, and someone stood by him with love, even the river forgave him." Children sat wide-eyed. Teenagers recorded the story on their phones. And mamas selling groundnuts nodded in agreement. And life continued. A Dogo started his own palm oil business, naming it Fresh Start Enterprises. Amah's salon expanded. She even opened a new one in the next village called No Smell Beauty Place. The boxer was never seen again, though some say it glows faintly under the earth on moonless nights. Mama Nkechi stopped talking for a full week. But eventually, she too came to Amah's shop to braid her hair. And as for the story, well, in Umuakachi, if you ever walk past the old Iroko tree, and you hear someone say, Mazi Dogo and his smelling boxers, you'll know you found someone who believes in second chances. Because sometimes, what stinks is not a boxer, but a forgotten past. And what heals is not a perfume, but love. Please subscribe, share and leave us a comment. The end.